So Axalta. Axalta manufactures paint. Paint for cars, paint for aircraft, paint for windmills, ships, boats, anti-graffiti paint. We do a lot of business around the world. And we found an opportunity within our customer base to introduce iForms to take care of what we're doing currently, capturing data on paper. There's a couple of acronyms going around where people have come up with the name of their platform that they're going to be MDC. Ours is AMP, Axalta Mobile Platform. So iForms falls underneath that platform. Also, we have Salesforce running underneath it. We have KPI tools running underneath it. So that's what the Axalta Mobile Platform is. It's everything combined, including iForms. Any NASCAR fans out here? There's got to be one, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, Jeff Gordon, we sponsor him. He's our team driver, as you can see. 2 weeks ago, I went up to Hendricks Motorsports in North Carolina. Had a great time. Toured the plant, looked at the facility, looked at the engines being made, the CNC machines. Wow, they could use iForms there too. In actual fact, I spoke to, I'll save that story for later. We're introducing a lot of new colors. The Radiant Red is one of our brand new colors. We spend a lot of time in R&D developing these colors and chemistry for the different types of paints. They're also looking at it, iForms, to be used in the R&D. So a lot of possibility within our company across the board. It's not height, it's the width. There's so much we can do with it. So we had some objectives. Get rid of the paper. Get a mobile platform in place that we can collect data. We want to collect it more regularly. We don't get any definition of collecting data once a day. We want to do it 4, 5, 6, as many times as possible. These guys are walking around the plants collecting data. There's limitations on how much they can collect, but right now they're only doing it once and we have nothing. So different objectives here, basically to replace everything that you see paper-wise. And the deliverables, this was kind of an interesting one. One thing I want to touch on really, really quickly, I've heard no one talk about this here. S88, industry standards. Does anybody know what that is? So I think some of you guys are struggling with hierarchy within building your forms. S88 is something that's taken out of the automation business, and it's a hierarchy for defining a plant. So imagine the US, then you have the states within the US. Then you have the cities within the states. We break down everything in the plant, so it's the plant, the process area, the machine in that process area, then the variable we're looking for. And that is what builds our forms. We don't look at it and think, oh, how are we going to do this? It's right there in front of us. We just follow the pattern within the plant. So a couple more of the deliverables. We talked about this continuous connection. This is really, really important for us. Our guys are inside metal buildings. Faraday cage for anybody that knows. Signals don't propagate outside the building too well. So working offline was really, really important. We wanted to provide something that was flexible. We wanted this application to be treated like a Word or Excel or a program that you have on your computer where everyone can use and everyone can build forms. Right now I'm building forms for a big project, but there's nothing to stop our counterparts, my colleagues, designing forms just for themselves, for everyday uses. Also, what we wanted to do is produce a full set of functions within iForms which had nothing to do with the rounds that were the data collection that we're doing, but offer benefit for support, for requesting devices, requesting accounts. The list goes on, so I'm going to dive into that a little bit later. A typical plant, this is actually Ford, Michigan, and I think they do the C-Max and one of the other cars I don't remember. Someone might recognize the photo a little bit later. But basically our paint comes into the building on the top right here. It goes into a storeroom. We have at least 50 totes of different color paints. So we need to make sure that the totes have barcodes on. We're using a lot of barcoding technology. The paint in a warehouse then goes to a mix room. That mix room will blend two paints, or we'll just take paint from each individual tote and it will go out to the plant to where the spray guns are to spray the cars. So the first here is the E-coat, the base coat, the undercoat. The E-coat is where the car bare chassis gets dipped into a liquid, and that's the base coat, and it's done negatively charged and positively charged. The paint gets bonded, it goes into an oven, and it's dried. The second part here is where the cars actually get sprayed. This is really, really interesting. We can have a white car go through, and then behind it, we have a red car. And no red paint gets on that white car. It's just amazing. And then we get a green one through, and we get a yellow one through. So it's a very, very good process, and when you're watching it, it's very clever how it all works. So all that data that we're capturing throughout that process, we have different guys walking around, collecting it. They go back to a computer, they type it into an Excel spreadsheet, then they go into, in this instance, Ford, they go into Ford's web portal, and they put it in for a second time. None of this data is trackable. It's just a flat form, and it does nothing for anybody. The S88 hierarchy, forget what you see here about SAP. It's a branch of someone. I was talking to someone about a tree earlier, I think yesterday, about trying to predict how many branches are going to come out of it. Obviously, pretty impossible. But what we can do is we can break down our site into that hierarchy, and this immediately gives you your forms, your subforms, until you get down to your elements. And I found this to work really, really well. And people within our industry understand this flow. So this is how we're building our templates when we build our rounds or forms. So I wanted to divide it into two areas. The main area being what we're actually trying to do with iForms, and the other area is special applications that we can put in for inventory control, goods in, quality reporting, all those types of different things. So behind me here is a picture of a car that's gone through the e-coat process. I doubt if you can even recognize what type of car it is. In the background here, this was in the e-coat oven too long, so it's gone from a green to a brown. And it costs money every time that happens. So by us capturing this process data, we can tell whether it's the problem with the line or a problem with something that we're doing. And we always end up with a squabble with the customer. Who's paying for it? We call it CPU, cost per unit. And with this data, we can quickly tell who's to blame, or who needs to make some changes. So this is a very good method for us. One of the cars going through on the spray robots. So the spray head here is very, very important, and there's a lot of research that's gone into the spray head on the car, but this thing goes through X, Y, Z. I think there's a 4-axis movement on the arm, very, very quick and clever to watch. The robots open the doors, they spray in the gaps, they close the doors partially. Awesome process to watch. So the customers that I'm working with, Ford, GM, Chrysler, American Paint Company, Honda, Kia, a couple of quick screenshots from the top level and from the main level for the Ford plant here. We're covering 4 main areas. We have an e-coat, the top coat, we have the mix room, we have our stock room, and the 5th element you see on here is actually a white glove inspection. So we're using the annotation tool within iForms to capture a picture of the car. We'll draw a circle around it, we'll say a scratch or a dent or a miscolor or something that's wrong with the process. So we capture that visually too. Someone suggested buying these life-proof cases. They're, not again. They're really good. I've had my daughter out in the snow with it. This has fallen off my car. I bent it. It was still working. I took it back to Apple. They replaced it immediately. Awesome device for our field technicians. We've invested heavily in. We paid for the Apple Care. We've bought a decent case. We've got a decent front cover, and so we're covered. Moving forward, we don't have any concerns about the equipment. 2 days ago, we had a story come out in our newsletter for Axalta. The lady pictured in the top left, she's an admin person, and this story was put together for the line services increases productivity in a data capture solution. When this came out, my boss had about 1,000 phone calls. Everybody wants to know when they're getting it, how can they get involved. This is the first publication. We've got a second publication, which is going out, I think, in a couple of weeks' time globally. So everyone's going to know about this by the end of the month. and I'm going to be in a deep... So some of the applications that I wanted to create to make life easier for me, for the people in the field, were simple things like help desk requests. What happens if they're stuck? Apart from calling you guys, there's a form on here where they can fill it out and it will go to our own internal help desk and they'll get an email back instantly. So the help desk request here. We're building the forms for our users. The users aren't building them right now. However, sometimes I make mistakes. In the field, I might put liters instead of gallons or get an engineering unit wrong. The guys can go into form change request. They populate the questions. I get an email. I can very, very quickly make the change in the form. I email them back, and it's done within 5–10 minutes. So this is really, this helps productivity. Managing the users and the request for devices. We've budgeted for a lot of iOS devices here, and I put together a form which allows our OEM managers to request a device. So it comes in, I print a barcode, I order the iOS device, it comes in, I scan the EMEI number, the CDMI, the serial number, the product number, that goes in, it produces another barcode. The reason I'm producing two barcodes is a data matrix, and that data content changes from the first time I scanned it to the second time. So that second barcode then gets put onto the back of my device, and there's an app on within everyone's iForms where they can scan this barcode and they can see where it belongs to, the serial number, the passcode. We're not hiding that. So this is a nice way to control what's going on. And there's a lot of other applications which I've been playing with integration, again, barcoding, Bluetooth, wireless technology. This is a really, really, really good one. Forward-looking infrared. So with an infrared camera, I can take a shot and put it straight into iForms. The reason we're doing it is to look at the car if we have a defect and see if there's a lack of consistency of temperature across the whole of the body. Also, we can use the forward-looking infrared for detecting the level of a liquid in a tank that we can't see through because they change its temperature and we can see the line on the tank. So very, very useful for us. And again, we can send quality reports back to our manufacturing. If there's any issues with any of the paints, they get feedback instantaneously. And this is all stuff that's not related to the form that they're using for collecting data. This is just accessories on top of it. These slides have come from another presentation I've done, but basically I wanted to really give across the interface that iForm Builder uses for the web, so for reports and for building the actual forms themselves, viewing the data, of course. And then we've put a line right down through the middle. That's the reporting side. This is the data collection side. And I have a team working on this, and they're struggling on it, just like everybody else in the room. The idea with Tableau was to put a storyboard together. So you'd have a welcome tab, a summary tab, and then you would dive into where the problems are. You can use dynamic colors within Tableau. So I can change the color of the robot as if it fails or if it's in question or out of service. I also have a summary here of where it actually tells me what's condition red and condition yellow, what's fallen into these categories. And the main thing that we wanted to get out of Tableau was the CAN dashboard reports, the user-created detailed reports, reports that were time-triggered every day. We wanted to really try and take the user of the data away from programming and setting up. We just wanted to do standard reports, detailed reports, time-synced reports, and that would be enough to, for the need for our project. We can't just roll out an application. We need to think about the life cycle. We need to think about support. I spent a lot of time putting together a SharePoint site, and here it talks about Apple Care, it talks about new users, training, user login, project schedule, project rollout. There's help files. We don't hide that we're what we're using. It's right on all our documentation. iForm Builder is right there. People can come to the iForm Builder website and look at the training videos. Very, very good documentation. Everything you see here in front of you, I've done on my own, and I think the story is the same for you guys. I've got a long way with just myself as a resource, no one else. But I have access to other people, but it's an hour here, it's an hour there. That's got to change for us to be successful moving forward. But we need to have everything behind the scenes to back the project up. One thing I like out of iForms is how to get started. Use the community and use the help desk. You know, we have hours that are allocated with iForm Builder, and I'm trying to encourage our users to use those hours up. If it's not something simple that I can help with, get on the phone. Don't hang around. But basically, to get this project off the ground, we need to prepare supporting documents, build a template. How are we going to build the forms? The guys need to attend training sessions. They need to work with our IT resources, and basically just focus on the project goals, because there's no way we can roll out 40 plus sites by the end of the year. It's just going to be impossible. What I'd like to do is show you a quick video. My project has a lot of people involved, and some are apprehensive about putting it into the site. Some are really have got a lot of energy. Most people are kind of orientated towards that, but it's very political in what we're rolling out, and we can't do it successfully unless we build a project team, and that team is going to drive it and drive it and drive it and drive it. And talking about driving, I thought this driving video of how to do a tire change on a NASCAR would be interesting. So this is a real team training, and these guys are coordinated and working within a team. We actually did this as a team building exercise when we were at the Hendricks Motorsport. We did it in 13 seconds, our team. But we had twice as many people as that. Thanks, guys.